going on, people? It's the Big Rig Bull Texas Truck Accent lawyer Reshard Alexander here again today on a Tuesday. Oh yeah, you can see it. You can see that. It is delicious. Gardenia. Delicious. I've always felt that websites and internet was like the best way to get the type of traffic that I wanted, because it was a way to put yourself right directly in front of the type of clients that you wanted. Because I noticed when I first came out of law school that you just kind of, people just kind of gave you whatever they had, or people just came into you and for whatever reason. Hey, you do a divorce. Hey, you do wills. Hey, you do real estate. Hey, you do immigration. Hey, you do this. And it was kind of a struggle to really nail down exactly one area that you, or two or three, that you could thrive in and actually make a living off of. I mean, that seems to be the big thing for a lot of attorneys. Like, people, the public in general likes to call lawyers greedy and, oh, they're just money hungry, blah, 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 blah. But the reality of it is that the way the system is set up, or the way the business is set up, lawyers either have to identify high earning niche areas, even within a niche, or they have to do a smorgasbord of different practice areas, and it becomes very difficult to manage a practice when you are trying to do like 30 different things. Like, you have 30 different areas of law that you have to really know. It can be very tiresome. So I've noticed that other attorneys have made strides in other areas by zeroing in on lucrative areas within a practice area. Like, there are certain problems that most people are going to deal with, and if you can become an expert in those areas, then you can be, you can make a good living doing that. I mean, prime example, like say you're a family lawyer, or you want to practice family law, and then you go into divorces, or you do child custody, because those are issues that will commonly arise in family law. Actually, that's going to be the beginning of any family law issues a lot of times, it seems like, with most people, because that's an area that when you're dealing with it, depending on the type of clientele that you bring in, you stand to make a ton of money. If you are an attorney who becomes the person who represents like celebrity, divorcees or something like that, or you become like the lawyer who represents the wives of divorce doctors or something like that. Like, you can make a killing doing that type of stuff. And it's the same way with every other area. Like, if you do real estate, if you focus on commercial real estate stuff, I mean, obviously there's more money in commercial real estate than it is residential. If you do criminal law and then you focus on murders or DWIs or something like that, domestic violence. See, when I first came out of law school, I thought about focusing on drug law. I mean, that's the thing that I kind of wanted to do to a certain extent, but you kind of also have to be able to look at the you have to be able to tell which way the wind is blowing. So when I came out of law school and I said, oh man, cannabis law, craft beer law, those kind of intersect with one another. But the thing about it is, you're representing people in cannabis law, and you realize that the state is going to eventually legalize that area. So, unless you plan on flipping into the business area of cannabis law or something like that, there will be no market for an attorney who focuses on misdemeanor and felony cases of marijuana possession in a few years. I give it 4 to 6 years, it'll probably be legalized in the state of Texas. That's what I think. But I could be wrong. But certainly it seems like they're kind of heading that way. But yeah, I gave that up, and like I said, it's just about trying to find things that interest you. Now, I tell you what, another thing that interests me, but I haven't been able to really kind of make any headway into it, is like agricultural law. So, agricultural law is like, everything that deals with like farming, and that stuff is truly interesting. It's a necessity. It's essential, but it's nothing like being out on a farm. I mean, it really isn't. I mean, city life is okay, and a lot of us move here or stay here because we have to make a living here, but there's nothing like being out on a farm. So, that's one other area that interests me. And plus, it kind of ties into transportation law and trucking law and stuff like that. What's going on? It's the Big Rig Bull Texas truck accident lawyer Reshard Alexander here today for part 2 of our in-depth look at hazardous substances materials. Okay, we're going to briefly cover again the definition of what a hazardous substance is, the difference between hazardous substances and hazardous waste, and the different divisions and classes of hazardous materials. So let's just jump right into it. So a hazardous material is basically defined as a material or substance determined by the Secretary of Transportation to be capable of posing an unreasonable risk to the health, safety, and property when transported in commerce, and it's designated as such. These include hazardous substances, hazardous waste, elevated temperature materials, and marine pollutants. When we're talking about hazardous substances, it's basically any material listed in Appendix A, Section 172.101, and it equals or exceeds the reportable quantity, or RQ, listed in Appendix A. Hazardous waste is defined as material subject to the hazardous waste manifest requirements of the U.S. EPA or Environmental Protection Agencies specified in 40 CFR 262. Now, when we're talking about hazardous materials, they are divided into 9 different classes, and they're divided into different divisions within each one. Class 1 is explosives. It's divided into 6 divisions. 1.1 deals with an explosive that has a mass explosion hazard. 1.2 deals with a explosive that has a projection hazard. 1.3 deals with an explosive that has a fire hazard or other minor blast hazard or a minor projection hazard or both. 1.4 deals with devices that present a minor blast hazard. 1.5 it deals with very insensitive explosives. 1.6 deals with extremely insensitive detonating substances. Class 2 is gases. It's divided into 3 divisions. 2.1 is they're flammable. 2.2 is non-flammable and non-poisonous gases. 2.3 is poisonous by inhalation gases. Class 3 is flammable and combustible liquids. It doesn't have a division, but it has a flash point of not more than 140 degrees Fahrenheit or 60 degrees Celsius, and a combustible liquid has a flash point above 140 degrees and below 140 degrees Fahrenheit and below 200 degrees Fahrenheit. Class 4 is flammable solids, and it has 3 divisions. 4.1 deals with solids that are flammable. 4.2 deals with materials that are spontaneously combustible. 4.3 deals with materials that are dangerous when wet. Moving over to the Class 5. Class 5 is dealing with oxidizers and organic peroxides. There are 2 divisions in that. 5.1, which is limited to oxidizers. 5.2 is limited to organic peroxide. When we move on to Class 6, which are poisons, there are 2 divisions here. 6.1 is materials that are poisonous. 6.2 are materials that have an infectious substance. Class 7 is radioactives. There is not a class division for that. Simply materials having a specific radioactive activity greater than 0.002 microcuries per gram. Class 8 is corrosives. That is a material that causes visible destruction or irreversible alteration to human skin or a liquid that has a severe corrosion rate on steel or aluminum. Class 9 is the last class, and it's basically a catch-all, it's a miscellaneous class. It's a material which prevents a hazard during transport, but which is not included in any other hazard class or hazardous waste or hazardous substance. The only other thing is ORMDs or other regulated materials. This presents a limited hazard during transportation due to its form, quantity, and packaging. Form, quantity, and packaging being the key words for ORMDs. This has been a very brief snippet into hazardous materials compliance, but I want to go back over the classes again just to give you the divisions of them all. We'll continue with hazardous substances compliance and transportation law tomorrow. Once again, this is the Big Red Bull, Texas truck accident lawyer Reshard Alexander, signing out, and I hope you have a blessed day.